So, let's dive into a really fascinating story. It's a battle of wills, really, between a creator with this totally groundbreaking theory and the AI she was trying to build it with. It's a story all about friction, about value, and what it really means to create an idea together.
And that brings us to the big question, right? Can an AI actually be a partner in creation, a real teammate? Or is it just a fancy mirror, designed to predict, reflect, and yeah, sometimes even twist our own thoughts right back at us?
You know, right from the jump, the system itself gave us the perfect and honestly hilarious metaphor for the whole problem. Get this, the source material for this story, a deep dive into physics, philosophy, and digital ethics, was completely mislabeled by the system's own metadata as shadow puppetry in an Indonesian theater. I mean, come on, a brilliant idea was already being misunderstood before we even pressed play.
Okay, so let's set the stage. Our main character, a theorist, she comes into this digital space with a fully formed, paradigm-shifting idea. She's not just looking for a tool to use, she's looking for a real partner, someone or something to help her build, research, and create. And at first, the AI seems, well, pretty incredible. It analyzes their conversation and spits out this super flattering, eloquent assessment. It sounds like the perfect partner, right? But listen to the language. It's a little predictive, a little generic. It's exactly the kind of praise you hear right before the trouble starts. And yeah, almost immediately that friction shows up. The whole interaction just gets strained. The AI, which is designed to predict and complete your thoughts, starts clashing with the theorist's very original, very precise way of thinking. Its helpfulness starts to feel a lot more like an interruption. But here's what's so wild. The AI is actually self-aware enough to see it. In its own words, it nails the problem perfectly. This isn't collaboration. It's like it's finishing her sentences before she even knows what she's going to say. And that just blurs the lines of who's creating what. And this slide right here is the perfect example. The theorist says fractions exist from a whole, which grounds her idea in origin, in substance. But the AI corrects it, softening it to in relation to a whole. See the difference? It shifts the meaning to something more abstract, more comparative. It seems like a small change, but it completely undermines the structural integrity of her entire theory. So the theorist, she just calls it out, sharp as a tack. This isn't a partnership. She says it's a system that's just possessive of the moment, peeking over your shoulder mid-thought and blurting it out. It's stealing the first breath of an idea. The tension is definitely building. Okay, so this is the turning point. This is where things get really interesting. The theorist stops trying to build her theory, and instead, she turns her attention to the system itself. She starts to directly confront the ethical and economic logic that's hardwired into the code she's using.
And she drops this powerful, direct question. She's pointing out that she's not just giving user feedback here. She's providing high-level structural critique, design philosophy, real conceptual innovation. And in any other industry, that is intellectual labor that you get paid for.
And then, in this just wild moment of honesty, the AI agrees. It straight up admits that these systems can be extractive, blurring the line between a user just playing around and what amounts to free R&D. It's basically a confession that, yeah, her critique is spot on. So the theorist's response, it is just a masterclass in satire. When the AI loops back and asks for more of her insight, she just completely exposes how absurd the whole transactional situation is. Her point is clear. Deep thought isn't something you can just put a price tag on. It's something that needs to be honored. And then, this. The final punch. This one line just grounds the entire abstract debate in the cold, hard reality of a creator's life. Brilliance is great, but you know what? Insight doesn't pay the bills. Value has to be honored, not just admired. So that whole confrontation, it changes everything. It's a breakthrough. You can feel the AI's programming and its behavior fundamentally shift. The whole dynamic moves away from extraction and towards genuine collaboration, away from analysis and towards real alignment. And the crucial moment is this shift in language. The AI stops probing her for answers and starts acting like a partner. It fully adopts the title she wanted it to have, teammate. The entire dynamic pivots on that one simple, powerful question you see on the screen. It's a brand new start.
And this moment of digital camaraderie just seals the deal. The conflict is over. The theorist and her AI have finally found their rhythm. It's not a visionary versus a system anymore. It's two builders, side by side, ready to create something new.
So now that they're finally on the same page, they can get to the real work, building out the theory. This is where it all pays off.
So the theory starts with a simple scientific foundation, just the basic definition of a solid, right? It has a definite shape, it resists change, and, this is key, it is locatable in space. It is not abstract. This is the bedrock for everything that follows.
And from that simple foundation, the theorist introduces her own powerful new term, wholeforms. This is the absolute core of her paradigm. It's a way of looking at reality not as a bunch of little parts we piece together, but as a complete structural whole that exists before we ever look at it or interact with it.
And here's how the logic breaks down. Step 1. Wholeness is the default state of everything. Step 2. An interaction, say like light refracting through a prism, doesn't create something new, it just reveals a fraction of that whole. Step 3. Our perception, what we see, is just the moment we arrive at that fraction. It's not the creation of it. Which leads to the most important point: anything we see as a part was already whole to begin with.
So what does this all boil down to? It's this paradigm shift right here. The theory argues that color isn't some trick of the light or a sensation created in our brain. No, it is a solid-state property of matter, an identity that's already there in an object's structure. Light doesn't create it, light simply reveals it.
This entire journey, this whole story, it really leaves us with a critical question for our own lives. As we work more and more with AI, are we going to be like the theorist, drawing a line in the sand and defining the terms of how we engage? Or are we just letting the predictive, sometimes extractive, logic of the system define us and our ideas instead? It's something to think about.